The shooting death of a Florida teen is raising questions about the morality of the stand your ground law. We begin tonight with breaking news out of Caldwell, where police are on the scene of a drive-by shooting.
It's not the end of a week, but it is the end of an era as Tamara Jolee says goodbye today.
I'm sure a lot of people are celebrating at home.
No, they're crying. Crying over their breakfast cereal.
It was an amazing year. Actually, when I look back, I think about all the really neat things I got to do.
And you've done quite a bit too. Sports, morning show reporting, combination of really everything here.
The 2012 legislative session comes to a close for Idaho lawmakers. Tina Jensen joins us live in the studio to recap the biggest news from this session. The NFL draft is 1 week from tonight on primetime. Boise State looking to break records for the number of players being drafted this year. Okay, we've seen a lot of memorable police dash cam videos over the years, but you can't blame us for rhapsodizing about this one. They're practically neighbors. Judge Joel Baker goes to work right here every single day, right across the street. All these bondsmen. Judging by the amount of tension between these two sides, the road that separates them may...
In just a few hours from now, the prosecution will formally file charges against alleged mass murderer James Holmes.
A number of Micron employees are recovering from minor injuries tonight after an explosion earlier today. Well, the big week is here for 7 Boise State football players invited to the NFL Combine. The NFL universe will descend upon Indianapolis. An Idaho soldier has died in an IED explosion in Afghanistan. 27-year-old Sergeant Daniel Brown from Jerome died on Saturday. He is survived by his wife and 3-month-old twin daughters. Brown joined the Army after the September 11th attacks. You know, a lot of people are visibly upset. They're left wondering, how in the world does something like this happen in a city of just 1,200 people? Speaking of the people that live here, I'm joined by Sonia Wormke. Obviously, you've had a very tough afternoon. Tell me what you saw.
My children and I just returned home. They were out of school.
Today capped a series of workouts that started last month and really allowed Coach Pete and staff to analyze a Boise State team needing to find several key replacements. Obviously, the big question, quarterbacks. It is indeed Joe Southwick's job to lose. The junior took the field first, but it's not how you start, it's how you end. And Southwick ended the game in dramatic fashion with offense trailing defense 4th and 4. Southwick connected with Chris Potter right there for an 18-yard touchdown, giving the offense a 22-19 victory. From the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates 1 in 88 American children has some form of autism. That's a 78% increase compared to a decade ago. Well, the mother went to the kids' foster home at 3 p.m. Friday to pick them up. She got them for a day and was supposed to be back at 3 o'clock yesterday, except she never showed. Now the foster family desperately seeks the public's help in finding these 3 young children. Safety regulators are investigating this week's explosion at the Micron campus. OSHA said the blast was worth investigating. Several people suffered minor injuries. OSHA investigators have visited Micron 5 times since 2002. Today marks the 1-month anniversary of a Florida shooting that killed a teenager. The man who pulled the trigger has not been charged in the death. 1 in 4 of these children go to bed each night without food in their bellies. They're hungry. But this backpack program hopes to alleviate that by providing them with nutrition to help in not only their development, but their learning. Look, Boise State football team began preparations for the upcoming season this morning with numerous starting positions up for grabs. Players seem both energetic and extremely focused. Of course, all eyes are on that quarterback position with no clear favorite. It was around this time yesterday when kids and families started lining up along Commerce getting ready for the annual New London Overton Christmas Parade. About the same time, 83-year-old Charles George was in Longview, who dropped off his son, was heading home to troop and decided to cut through Overton. The judge that arraigned him this morning says when he arrived and came to this intersection at Commerce, he saw all the lights from the Christmas parade and got disoriented. That's when he hit 11 people, injuring. The owners say there are lots of music schools around, but none that solely focused on rock music until now. They're saving rock and roll 1 kid at a time. One thing about the draft, it's constantly changing. Mike Maycock, the lead NFL draft analyst for the NFL Network, now has running back Doug Martin in the first round, heading to Cleveland at number 22. Well, after dropping a 3-2 heartbreaker in overtime last night, the Idaho Steelheads must play with a sense of urgency as the series shifts to Boise. On the eve of National Signing Day, Boise State football gets some great news for a current player. The NCAA granted tailback DJ Harper a 6th year of eligibility. This Wednesday, Meridian will host their annual Bill's State of the City address and a taste of Meridian.
Stampede actually have 3 long-term NBA players, Mikey Moore, Anton Walker, now Marcus Banks. So there's some big names that are actually on the team, so fans have to come out.
All right, and a busy day tomorrow with the
National
signings.
Signing Day. I'll be up at 9 a.m. to get started. And Amanda will be out there also.
All right, we'll be right back.
Boise State produced 6 draft picks in this year's NFL draft. Only Alabama, Georgia, and Oklahoma had more players selected. But one person not surprised, Boise State head coach Chris Peterson. After all, he says you don't win 50 games in 4 years without having some of the best players in the entire country.
We have team coverage for you for the big event. Tamara Jolee has a look at how the picks panned out.
And Matt King was in Marsing with some very excited fans. Let's go straight to Tamara with tonight's big story.
What an emotional and life-changing moment tonight for 2 Boise State players. Doug Martin is headed to Tampa Bay. More on him later in the show. Shea McClellan was the first Bronco off the board. With the 19th overall pick in the first round of the draft, the Chicago Bears selected Shea.
Tamara Jolee is live in the studio to tell us.
Hi, Gemma. Well, as expected, the Broncos went in the second round. However, halfway through the third tonight, the Dallas Cowboys drafted defensive end Tyrone Crawford. Crawford becomes the 3rd Bronco selected in this year's NFL draft. We scored 2 tonight, and then they answered with 3 goals, and then you had the 4th one, and it was reviewed. What happened there?
Yeah, I just quick wraparound and banked off the goalie's foot. And
it was the most passionate issue to hit the State House floor this session, and today the controversial ultrasound bill was pulled off the table. This morning, state legislators declared the ultrasound bill dead for the remainder of the session.
Officials here tell us each year 3,000 babies are born at Mother Frances Hospital, and of those, hundreds are born premature. Now, in the past, the critically ill babies would be transported to other hospitals across the state, but now...
Our Snow Watch 2012.
Well, good evening. Farmers don't have to worry just yet, but the deeper we go into harvest season, area farmers say the more cause for concern. Whiskey the puppy is making his harvest season debut this spring. His owners, Sid and Wes Freeman of Middleton, are 5th and 6th generation seed farmers.
I'm at pretty much all 19 years of my life almost.
But Wes admits a lack of snowpack this winter is new territory.
This time of the year, it's kind of weird. I can remember growing up, we'd already be sledding on the hill behind our house or up at Bogus snowboarding.
We haven't had any snowfall. We haven't had any rain in over a month.
Rain and snow is crucial for Idaho farmers. They rely on mountain runoff for irrigation of their crops. Typically, the snow packed in the mountains during the winter melts through the spring and summer. All the water then funnels into reservoirs, streams into canals, and supplies water to farms and businesses.
In the summertime, what we would do is when we're ready to irrigate a field, we would come down and we open a head gate and let in so many inches of water that we need to irrigate that crop at the time.
Area farmers say they're not going to panic just yet, but they say those snow levels must rise come late January, especially February and March.
We have a dry January, well then you have February and March to pick up that slack, and the further we go towards spring, the more guarded we're going to have to be.
Despite no snow, farmers remain optimistic for now.
We will get the precip, we will get the snowpack, and if we don't, the reservoirs are all filled. Palisades, the whole Snake River system is filled to the brim, so we've got more than enough water for next year.
The odds are very good that we will pick up the necessary snowpack to carry us through a normal water season.
So the bottom line, farmers say they are in pretty good water situation right now because of the carryover from last season. In addition, this is supposed to be a La Nina year, meaning more rain in the Northwest. Of course, we'll have to stay tuned and see how it all plays out. I had so much fun there yesterday. I wanted to hang out all day long.
Congrats to Bob and Eileen, and you have some friends at a retirement home too, don't you? Didn't you live there once?
True story. When I first moved here, I didn't know the condo was an assisted living complex. But those
and you lived there for like 6 months, right?
I'm almost crying, but laughing. But they were my best friends, and one day they came and said, "We need to talk to your boss because you've been coming home way too late." So
working too many hours.
Yes.
Hey, but a lot more people there holding hands this morning. So
just
shout out
love
to all you
all
folks.
around.
Yeah,
We're
lot of
spreading the
hand-holding.
love. The time now is 6:44.
And
in just a few hours from now, the prosecution will formally file charges against alleged mass murderer James Holmes for the shooting death of 12 in Colorado.
A Caldwell man is arrested, charged in connection with a gang shooting. Joshua Ruiz faces 4 counts of aggravated assault by a gang member. Police say last night's shooting is a result of growing tensions between two rival gangs.
And welcome back to Good Morning Idaho. Well, almost 75 years ago, Bob Burton
Not
and
this Bob.
Eileen Johnson, another
Different
Bob,
Bob.
yeah. Bob Burton and Eileen Johnson attended Boise High School together.
But they actually never crossed paths until 3 months ago.
The two lovebirds met at a retirement community, and yesterday in Boise, they tied the knot. I was there as they exchanged vows. Here's more in Positively Idaho.
It had the makings of any other wedding, music, attendees, a cake. But this Boise ceremony, anything but normal.
I'm 91.
At a combined age of 183 years, groom Bob Burton, age 92, and his sweet bride, Eileen Johnson, 91 years, proved when it comes to love, age ain't nothing but a number.
I feel that I have found love for the first time in my life. Real love.
The two lovebirds met less than 3 months ago at Salmon Creek Retirement Community.
I introduced myself to some people at the table, and this old lady stood up and she said, "Oh, you're the talker." So I said, "Okay, I've got a reputation. I'll just cool it right now."
Soon the couple inseparable, and they decided to make it official because Eileen says she refuses to live in sin.
My grandmother's very proper about these things. She's got to make sure that it's all taken care of, dot your I's, cross your T's, and get the rings on there.
Betty Stadler has been Eileen's best friend for over 70 years.
I may regret it now, but I was laughing. I said, "What?" Yes, I'm getting married. So anyway, I'm tickled that she's found somebody who's going to have whatever years of happiness they have ahead.
Bob and Eileen say they're one of the most romantic couples at the retirement community.
We run around holding hands all the time, and we've noticed here in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, that we got a lot more of our tenants here walking around holding hands.
Still think there's a magnetic attraction that when you come upon him, you'll know it.
After a 5-minute ceremony, they shared a first kiss. Well, make that 3 kisses.
I'm just happy to get tied to her so that no one can separate us.
91 and 92.
Aren't they cute?
Never too old. Awesome story.
And I didn't get to mention it, but Bob was married 65 years, and then
Previously.
Eileen was married 54 years, and both of their spouses passed away. So they found love again, and
You look great.
And
they do.
They do look great for 91 and 92.
Yeah, Bob has a great voice. He ought to be on the radio.
He was a Navy pilot, but he has a really, really great one. But I am so thankful in my life I got to witness something like that. The race is on to see who will get laptops in their classroom first. High schools across Idaho now have to write a 5-page essay describing how they'll use the new technology.
Live report right now. Tam.
Hey, Neil. Well, thank you. Well, just like Zach said, this past weekend, temperatures reached a high 80 degrees. And then Sunday, a cold front moved in, forcing rain and colder temperatures. So surely all of this has to impact our immune system, right? Doctors say not quite. Regents here say their goal is to motivate students to apply to SFA. They say it's an investment they're willing to make in order to provide hope for low-income students. Tropical storm Edouard rolled through these waters about 2 hours ago, but as you can see, the wind gusts at this hour are still extremely strong. Bus, this is exactly how the process works. They first come over here where there's water, there's food, there's diapers, anything they need available for their bus ride back home. The evacuee. The newspaper used an EPA database to identify which schools across the country are the most polluted. Now, the reason this elementary school right here is in the top 1% is simply because of its close proximity to this plant right across the street.
Fox 9 has a news alert tonight. An Amber Alert has been activated for 3 Caldwell children, all under the age of 10. And they have not been seen or heard from in more than 48 hours after their biological mother failed to return them to foster care. Our Tamara Jolee spoke with the foster family this afternoon, and she joins us live in the studio with the very latest on this. So Tamara, what can you tell us at this point?
Hi, Gemma. Well, the mother went to the kids' foster home at 3 p.m. Friday to pick them up. She got them for a day and was supposed to be back at 3 o'clock yesterday, except she never showed. Now the foster family desperately seeks the public's help in finding these 3 young children.
They love to stay here, you know, and
Green walls surround the neatly made Hannah Montana bed where 5-year-old Esmeralda and 7-year-old Medea sleep. Figurines of angels, Mother Teresa, and Jesus watch over them. The room is exactly like the girls left it Friday.
They'll do the bed and everything, and you know, I don't know.
9-year-old brother Uvaldo sleeps across the hall. The kids arrived at this Caldwell home in December and placed in the care of Catalina Godina, a longtime foster mother.
I never had anything like this, you know, so that's why I'm kind of worried.
Authorities say the biological mother, 35-year-old Bertha Guerrero Castro, lost custody because of drug abuse and child abandonment. Friday was her chance to make it right.
And she was really happy to, you know, that she was coming and pick up the kids. So, you know, she came and hugged me about 2 or 3 times, really, really happy.
But the happiness turned into terror for the Gadinas when 3 p.m. approached Saturday and the children never returned.
We were supposed to be here at 3 on Saturday because I have told her that, you know, we were going to church at 5. And she said, yeah, I'll be here at 3. I'll make it at 3, you know. And so, you know, we waited for her until 4. She didn't get here.
An Amber Alert was issued. Since then, no word from the mother or kids. Catalina remembers the children smiled through the windows of a 2-toned gray Pontiac Oldsmobile with Nevada license plates. They pulled out of this driveway and simply vanished.
If the mom, if she's watching like right now, what would you want to say to her?
I hope that she will come back, you know. We love those kids, you know. Yeah.
In new tonight, the Nevada Highway Patrol has just confirmed that troopers pulled over the mother Saturday morning before the Amber Alert was issued. And at that time, she did not have her children in the car with her. We now have more information about that car police are looking for. It is a gray 1986 Pontiac, Nevada license plate number 389XPR. Again, 389XPR. Live in the studio, Tamara Jolee, Fox 9 News at 9.